If you have never seen or heard the time broadcasts, radio time broadcasts from the National Institutes of Standards and Technology, it's a U.S. government organization, and they broadcast this very specific time signal on a few frequencies that you can pick up with a shortwave radio. And there's something interesting about listening to it today that I thought you might be interested in checking out. So here it is. You're going to hear about 30 seconds or so of it, hear a couple of announcements, and I'll explain what they are when they're done. So here you go. This is 15 megahertz on January 24th, 2022, and the time is, I think it's about 12:30 p.m.
At the tone, 17 hours, 30 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time. National Institute of Standards and Technology Time. This is radio station WWV, Fort Collins, Colorado, broadcasting on internationally allocated standard carrier frequencies of 2.5, 5, 10, 15, and 20 megahertz, providing time of day, standard time interval, and other related information. Inquiries regarding these transmissions may be directed to the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Radio station WWV, 2000 East County Road 58, Fort Collins, Colorado, 80524.
So you heard a man's voice telling you that that is the NIST time broadcast. If you heard very early on when I turned up the volume, you heard a lady's voice in there. And what you're actually hearing here is there are two WWV broadcast locations. One is in Fort Collins, Colorado. That was the man's voice you heard. The woman's voice you heard is actually coming from the WWV broadcast in Hawaii. So I've got my antenna aimed directly west, pretty much right over the top of both Fort Collins, Colorado and Hawaii. So I'm able to pick up both of them at the same time here. And the lady's voice that you heard, you may have sounded a little bit familiar if you crank up the Wayback Machine. For those of you who ever had landline telephone service, you heard, if you dialed a wrong number, you heard a lady's voice telling you, "We're sorry, the number you dialed is no longer in service," or something to that effect. That lady was a famous voice actress named Jane Barbie. And the voice that you heard on the WWV time broadcast was Jane Barbie's voice. She did a lot of time and temperature announcements for banks and things like that. So the woman's voice, they do the announcement first in Hawaii. So you hear the woman's voice first. And then as soon as she's done speaking, you hear the man's voice, and that's coming from Fort Collins, Colorado. But that's what the time broadcast sounds like. Each one of those little ticks that you heard is 1 second. And then they tell you once a minute what the upcoming minute is going to be, and that time is perfect. It is from a very, very super precise atomic time clocks in Colorado, and they're perfectly synchronized with the one in Hawaii, so you can't tell the difference in the ticks between Colorado and Hawaii. That's how closely aligned they are. You can't even hear it. They're so close. So there you go, 15 megahertz on a shortwave radio. You can also pick it up on 10 megahertz, 5, 2.5, and 20 megahertz as well, with a big antenna. Probably in the middle of the day like this is about the best time to get it, or possibly very late at night, in the middle of the night as well. But you should be able to get it pretty much any time. It might sound a little staticky. So there you go, a little bit of radio information for those of you who are interested. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions.